All right, everyone. This is going to be some feedback on the ccot essay that you guys wrote earlier this week. It is 8 o'clock on Thursday night. I still have a long way to go to get all the essays done, so we'll see how this goes, but extra credit may be looking pretty good for you guys right now. Hopefully, I'll get them done, and regardless, I want to be able to give you feedback on the thesis part of the essay because this is the biggest problem we're having right now. So first of all, we're not alone. Here's the problem. Almost no one in the country last year earned a thesis point on the ccot essay. The number was really, really low. People thought it was like under 10% of the population. The reason why is the College Board has increased the level of specificity required to earn the thesis point. In other words, a thesis that would have counted 3 or 4 years ago doesn't count right now. And the difference is this: as opposed to just identifying a category of change or a category of continuity, like there were changes in demand in the Indian Ocean or change in who controlled the area. Those are just categories. Who controlled the area is a category. It doesn't identify what the change is. So you have to say, as opposed to change in controlled the area, you have to say a change to have Europe more involved in the area. That's a specific change that occurs. Change in the control of the area is just a topic. It doesn't identify what the change is. Over and over again, last year, people wrote thesis sentences or thesis paragraphs using this model of identifying a category of change and a category of continuity. They did not earn the thesis point. This was really frustrating for everyone across the country because the College Board never told anyone ahead of time that they were going to do this. But it's true, and we found out after the reading that's how they evaluated the essays. So your job right now is to adapt and to deal with that situation. So I want to look at a couple specific examples and show you problems in the sense that this thesis would not have earned a point and why it didn't earn a point, and then how you could fix it. The first one is the sentence, and this is often an introductory sentence that people are using. My guess is about half of us are using this sentence right now. And the sentence is, there were many very significant changes, or it could just be many changes and continuities in the Indian Ocean region from 650 to 1750 CE. This sentence does not add any value to your essay. You don't get a benefit from it. It is not specific enough to either prove a continuity or a change. The readers at the College Board will treat this sentence as if you didn't write it. So, don't write it. Just skip it. You don't need an introductory sentence that says many changes, many continuities. It's too general, doesn't help you. One thing you could do, if you really want an introductory sentence that sets up your argument, explain why this topic matters. Make an argument about why Indian Ocean trade is significant in the scope of world history, why it matters that historians think about the Indian Ocean. That would be an awesome introductory sentence, and it adds value. It actually probably makes your thesis more analytic because you're explaining why something is important. So in this example, you could say the Indian Ocean trade has increased long-distance interactions between the continents, helping to fuel a new wave of globalization by 1750. That's an argument that explains the significance of your topic, which is good. It's way, way, way better than the sentence that I highlighted in orange. The trick is you have to be specific to make that argument. You can't just say the Indian Ocean is really, really significant for world history, because that doesn't everything we cover is significant for world history. You have to explain what the significance is, but that's one way to start your essay if you don't want to start your essay with just a beginning of your thesis. Next issue to focus on, a sentence that sounds like this: the region was always controlled by major empires, but which empire controlled the region changed. This is an example of a thesis that's very close to earning a point, but does not earn the thesis point. And the reason is it's not specific enough. It doesn't identify what the change is. So the solution is to be specific. You could reword this idea in a slightly different way, in a much more nuanced way, to make this argument. The region was always controlled by major empires, which indicates the importance of government intervention in trade. However, control of the Indian Ocean region was shared by Muslim merchants and China, giving way to increased European influence after 1500 CE. That is you're identifying a clear and specific change. It's specific because we named countries, we named a specific change in that Europe became more influential or had more influence. So we're identifying a direction of change as well. The part about the importance of government intervention in trade, that part is probably important to make this thesis more analytic, to explain the importance of it, or provide some analysis as to why this matters. Not necessary. You could skip that, still earn the thesis point. But the bottom part really needs, your thesis needs to be that specific. And I just can't tell you how many times the person that was at the reading last year that taught the class in Bellevue that I went to said over and over again, these theses, as in the one on the left in orange, doesn't meet the standards that they have set now. And I got really frustrated with this because that's what they had told us the year before, write a thesis like the one in orange. And that doesn't work anymore. Your thesis needs to be more specific. It needs to identify exactly what the change is. So one more example. This is the last one. Trade was continuous, but demand for certain goods changed. The alternative to this, which would not earn a point, the alternative is be specific. In particular, did the demand for certain goods increase? Did the demand decrease? Did the demand shift from old products to new products? And there's one question you may be answering here, or maybe asking here, which is, don't you just mean I have to use all my evidence in the thesis? And aren't you just saying my entire essay is my thesis? And that's not true. The difference here, this is a subtle difference, but it's significant. The difference is you don't need to list specific goods here. You don't need to say the demand for silk changed, but the demand for, I'm trying to think what else it would be, cotton stayed the same. You don't need to list specific goods. Those would be examples of evidence. You do need to list or provide some explanation as the direction of change, the magnitude of change. So if you say the demand for certain goods increased, you're just changing one word. You're not adding anything. But demand increased is better than demand changed. So another version of the sentence could sound like this. Although, I skipped a word in this, excuse me about that. It should say, although European demand for Asian goods remained constant, increased Chinese demands for silver expanded Europe's role in Indian Ocean trade. So that's much more specific, and it does cite some evidence, I will admit, that I would want to restate in the body paragraph, which is silver. But ultimately, if you err a little bit on the side of specificity, you're never going to be in bad shape. Your thesis should still be a paragraph, a couple of sentences, but it needs to be a very specific couple of sentences. The last point is this. Why does this matter? This matters for two reasons. One is a thesis point is a point you can earn relatively easily. It's a point that you can earn in a sentence or two, and that point is worth 2.5 free multiple choice questions on the AP test and the final exam. So changing your thesis, like changing one word in this thesis here from changed to increased, could be the difference between getting an A- and an A on your final, and it's worth that change. The second reason is this. The way that the scoring rubric is set up, you have to earn all 7 basic core points in order to earn expanded core, which means if you have everything correct in your essay but you don't earn the thesis point, you get a 6 for your essay, even if the essay would have been an 8 or a 9 otherwise. So if you're interested in earning an 8 or a 9 on an essay in the AP test or on the final exam, you need to get the thesis correct, because if you miss the thesis point, you can't earn expanded core, even if you have every single piece of evidence you could ever wish for, every single piece of world historical context you could ever want to include in an essay. So the thesis point is hugely important to this essay for those two reasons. The last thing is this. This went longer than I hoped it to. It's 10 minutes and 30 seconds right now. I'll stop by 11 minutes, but I do want you to do this. If you watch this video all the way to the end, you hear all the advice, you internalize it, I want you to go back on the news feed and hit like to this video and say that you like it, and I will create some sort of positive incentive, probably based in chocolate, for you to receive for liking this video. I'll give you a few days to like it until the middle of next week, but don't tell everyone else, have everyone just watch it. But if you like this video, then you will get some sort of prize. You guys rock. I'm really excited about working with you for this last month or 6 weeks, however long we have before the final exam and the AP test. You rock. Go team.